Computer. Recording. Hello, Mike Warner. David Brownstein here.
Hi, David.
How's it going?
Really good. Can't
Good.
complain. Obviously, this background behind me isn't real, but it's a lot more exciting than the reality that is the bedroom, which is the quietest room in the house when we do these.
Right. So I'm in LA also. It's kind of overcast here today, but I got a voicemail from a friend in England today. She's going, "Oh, I'm going to the beach today." I'm like, "Really? It's overcast here and they're they're going
In
to the
England,
beach in
that
England."
usually means it's over 20 degrees.
Exactly.
When they get some sunshine, they make the most of it. It's really awesome seeing how much they appreciate getting a day of sunshine there, for sure.
No, it's true. It's true. So by way of formal introduction, I'm David Brownstein. Welcome to the 2020 Music Industry Evolution Summit. My guest today is Mike Warner. Happy to have you here, Mike. I was going to say Mike is a playlist guru, which he is, but now that I've read his bio, there are other things to discuss. And so let me read your bio and we'll talk about a new phrase I just learned.
Okay.
California-based, as you can see. California-based Mike Warner is rapidly emerging as the new face and voice of the streaming music world. Mike's multifaceted role as a freelance streaming A&R has allowed him to develop and execute strategic streaming campaigns for a wide variety of artists and labels. Between advising clients on analytics and insights as part of the Chartmetric team, to spearheading third-party playlisting strategies for artists, Mike's mission is simple: to help the music industry find its feet on the new terrain. Welcome, Mike Warner.
Thank you.
Tell me about this new phrase I just learned called freelance streaming A&R.
Look, it's subject to change.
No, I love it. I love it. It's great.
Within the next hour, but
that's great.
One thing that I found is that everyone in the industry, their title is constantly changing, and new job descriptions are being made constantly as well, because we all have to stay current, and we all have to, obviously, ideally, we'd like to get ahead and know what's coming next and be prepared for that and be skilled in that as well. So it's a very broad term for that reason, so that I didn't have to change it every day. But essentially, people will come to me with questions about streaming in general, not just obviously playlists, which I'm sure we're going to get into today.
Yeah.
But, hey, my artist would like to get music on this DSP, which is in the Middle East. How would we go about that? How would we go about setting up their presence there? And then what could we do to get the attention of editorial as well? And everyone is looking for this information. It's not just the DIY artists or the independent artists. It's people at labels as well. They're always looking to gather every piece of information they can, whether it's yourself as the artist or somebody that works with artists. So that's why I found myself in this position where questions keep coming my way, and I'm happy to help people that are prepared to listen and prepared to put in the work.
Well, it's great. I mean, we're in the middle of a massive transition in the industry. The industry is always in transition. And in the last 3 months, it's been one kind of transition, but also with streaming, the importance of streaming and playlisting and Spotify and other platforms. In a way, playlisting is sort of the new radio, and playlisting is also kind of the new A&R in its own kind of way. So that's why I love that you're calling it out in a certain kind of way. It's because there's this big, messy bunch of stuff happening that some people know about, and indie artists are trying to figure it out. And as you say, the majors are trying to figure it out. So those of us / you who gone deep into it have learned some things, seen some trends, and help people to figure out what's next. So that's why I love it. It's a great, even if you change it in an hour, it's a great naming of a moment.
Yeah.
So before we get too deeply into I do want to speak playlists today. Talk to me about you as an artist and how you got here from being a producer, artist, DJ into the playlisting streaming guru-ness.
Yeah, sure. It's I feel like it's a story a lot of people can relate to nowadays. And before I say this, I just want to say I'm not against record labels at all. The reason I made this decision, you'll surely figure out soon enough with the explanation. But with my project that I started with two friends back in Australia, in case you didn't pick the accent, our project is called Date Night. And we started putting music out to record labels in Australia and getting pushback. And it wasn't the music is terrible or anything like that. It was, we don't know where we would place this. We're an electronic label and you've got a funky house track, but then your next single is a neo soul track and your next single is a liquid drum and bass track. You know, you have your own sound that you've applied to all of these genres and the sound carries across, but we can't put out something that isn't consistent. You know, if you do four to the floor house music, tech house every time, yes, then we could probably work with that. So I said to the other guys, you know, why don't we put it out ourselves? Why don't we just sign up with a distributor? Looks like there's plenty online, try it out, see what happens. And we did. And from there, obviously the first few singles, not much happened. And I, at the time, had just relocated to the US and moved to California. So was in the process of getting my green card, right to work, everything else sorted. And I was just sitting there at home all day, every day, 9 to 5. And I went online and I just went, I've got to figure this out. There's got to be a way that we can get our music heard on Spotify and start paying attention to all these other products. And Spotify was still relatively new in Australia. And I actually just followed them on Twitter and DM'd them. And surprisingly, they responded. And you can't do this anymore, so don't try this. It's beyond that now. But they actually responded. And, you know, Australian artists to Spotify Australia, we ended up getting a few of our releases and our debut album featured on the new releases page in Australia and New Zealand. And we also got a few local playlists. So New Music Friday Australia, which is still significant, but not as big as the one that we all know that comes out of the US, where you have, I believe, I don't know how many million followers now, but a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So that kind of gave me the early push that I needed. I went, okay, if they're open to hearing from us, who else is open to hearing from us? And I realized that it wasn't always going to be the case that we were guaranteed editorial placement. You're never guaranteed. So we had a few more singles come out that obviously didn't gain any editorial support. And it made me look around and see what else can we do? Who else can we reach out to? And that's when I started looking and found a lot of users that have created their own playlists that, by just reaching out to them very briefly and asking them if they had a submission process and what that is, they would get back to me and tell me, yeah, I'd love to hear music from you. Can you just send me a link to your latest song or send me a link to your strongest single? And I only accept music being sent by DM on Facebook, for example. And I would say, okay. And I would just start with a spreadsheet and take note of them. And anytime I got a positive response or we had support, I would go back to those people again with the next song. And that would grow over time to the point where every time you have a release, you already have a list of people that you know are looking forward to hearing it, and they know you and they are likely to support it. So the process actually got easier with each release, because you would know that at the very least, there's going to be someone on your list that would happily listen to that song and place it if it fits.
Right. So now the playlist world has matured and blossomed and gotten crowded in some ways and more robust in some ways and hacked in some ways and legit in other ways. I heard you did this great talk on YouTube, The Power of Third-Party Playlists, which I watched, which I really appreciated, which was from your sort of canceled South by Southwest talk, but great talk, and I recommend anybody watch that, find that on YouTube. But you talk about the third-party playlist world, and maybe you could say a little bit about what that is and what that means and how what does it look like now? I mean, because I've hired various people companies to promote my music, and the first one, it promised organic results, and they got me a bunch of streams, but it was playlisters named XZWVZ96, and I was like, that doesn't sound like a person to me. So, and then I've been working with other people where it is. So I see there's a whole ecosystem, as I like to call it, of this world, and like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of people out there that are offering different services. Absolutely. And people have, we can talk about payola or playola, as some people call it, and essentially paying for guaranteed streams. Obviously, to get straight to the point, if somebody says to you, I will place you on my playlist, or I will guarantee you this amount of streams, there's a very high chance that they have a way to get those streams for you, because they may own multiple accounts. They may have 100 old iPod touches strapped to a wall, all logged into Spotify, streaming that playlist, in particular your song, on an infinite loop in that playlist. People are under the impression that Spotify don't see this and the other DSPs don't see this, but they very clearly do. They know exactly which person is listening to your song and how many times they've listened. Is that person in a free account, or are they
Right.
a paid premium subscriber, which of course is a higher rate of pay?
Is there an ecosystem? Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. There's a different rate of pay.
Yeah. So if somebody signs up to Spotify and is not a paid subscriber, they have a free account where they have ad-supported listening, the rate of pay per stream, or the payout per stream, is lower than a premium subscriber. And I'm not going to say the exact number because it changes by country as well.
Okay, sure.
So to give you an idea, with my project Date Night, when we got on a big playlist in Mexico, we found out that at that time, one stream in Australia paid the same as 4 streams in Mexico. So the payout is different in various countries. And, obviously Spotify in India, I believe a monthly subscription works out to the equivalent of about $2 US. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine what the rate of, what the pay per stream would look like in India if that is the payment that people are making as a premium subscriber. So
okay,
it doesn't mean that, when I'm not going to get into the whole how much you get paid per stream.
No, that's not
because it's the same for everyone. But
here's the question, I guess. Let's just talk. I would like to focus on. There seems to me, maybe you disagree, there's a legitimate third-party playlist world where people are pitching. They're going, I will pitch your music to my legitimate playlists, and it'll get legitimate plays, and it shows up on your Spotify account. It seems like a legit thing. I mean, it seems that there is an environment that is a way to get noticed, a way to get your streams higher, so the Spotify algorithm starts to go, oh, we know what we can create a sound-alike artists relationship. Can you talk about that side of it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the easiest way we can get to paying people and who could actually help versus who you should stay away from as well, of course. But as far as what you can do yourself in the early stages,
great, yeah.
Obviously, especially if it's a brand new artist project, if you've got your first song that's come out, at this time you don't have any related artists, or as Spotify now calls it, fans also like. This is the most important time as far as what's going to happen next with your music, where you're going to start getting categorized, what genres they're going to consider putting you under, and where you may end up on other people's release radars or Discover Weeklies is based on those first listeners. So, I would say, especially with that first track, be very selective who you send it to. If there's someone that curates hip hop and you make country music, obviously you shouldn't send it to them anyway, but you can appreciate why if you get added to a playlist of a completely different genre, you're going to see a lot of people that are going to dislike your music because it's not being served to the right listeners. So finding those playlists, what I suggest is, number one, create a playlist that has your own music in there. So in this case, your first single, and then have other artists releases that are similar to you, and put that out, make it public, send it to family and friends and go, hey, check this playlist out that I've made. And then you've got a few plays going. You know, don't tell them to play it on loop all day and night, but just say, hey, give this a play, you know, maybe two. Just let it play through. I really want to know, do you think that I fit amongst these other artists? And I want to start feeding that information. Then when you get to a larger scale, maybe what you do is you would start posting that publicly on social media and tagging the other artists that are in that playlist and just saying, you know, start showing a presence amongst those other artists and saying, hey, I've created this playlist of songs that from artists that have inspired me. There's new music from artist A, artist B, artist C, artist D. Those artists won't be mad that you've tagged them. You know, you're shouting them out, you're complimenting them. Some of them may even repost that, and it's got a link to your playlist in there. That's all of these things that you start doing will feed the algorithm and start to say, hey, these artists are similar. And, you know, like I said, especially in the first stages, it's a lot easier when you start with zero, when you start with no related artists, because whatever you feed, it's going to start picking that up immediately. And it can change over time, but it's a lot easier to get it right from the start. So don't worry about trying to get on hundreds of playlists with that first release. Just worry about getting on a few playlists that are the right playlists for you, with music that from artists that you would like to be associated with or related to. And then when you get on those playlists, start playing them. Get everyone you know to start playing them as well. And that's how you're going to feed it from the start. And that's going to really help you in the long term as well.
And you spoke about one of the things that motivated you to start promoting your own music was you had a number of different genres that you were creating with Date Night. I know myself, and I know a lot of artist friends of mine were like, I got a little of this, I got a little of that. How would you work with that kind of thing? Are you doing that in your own stuff? You got a variety of genres you're making, right?
Yeah, definitely. So what we did is because we don't stick to one specific genre, we really focused on our sound and how that translates across each individual release. But that being said, what we would do is with each individual release, we get the opportunity to submit to Spotify within Spotify for Artists, which every artist has. The good thing about this is if you follow that submission process, you can tag each song with the correct genre, with the correct mood, so that what you're going to find now is that even if you released drum and bass previously and now you've gone into funky house music, you can make sure that that song is not tagged as drum and bass and it's tagged as funky house, and that it will get in front of the house heads instead. And
when you said tag it where on Twitter or
so yeah,
SoundCloud?
in Spotify for Artists, when you have an upcoming release, at least more than 7 days in the future. So if today were Friday, you would be submitting for next Friday and your cutoff would be tonight. And so what that means is you get the submission form when you log into Spotify for Artists, and you're doing a few things here. You're tagging the song correctly. You're tagging instruments used, the mood, the genre. You're also saying what city the song would most resonate with. So if you wrote a song and it's clearly a New York house track influence, then you might want to say New York. And then once you submit that, it has the opportunity to be considered by a Spotify editorial team for editorial playlists. It also will go into the release radar playlist for all of your followers. So however many followers you have as an artist, whether it's 10, 100, 1,000. Mm-hmm. And you know that you've tagged that song correctly, so that when it goes into Spotify, if they start delivering it to people in the form of a playlist, whether it's a release radar or Discover Weekly or some of their personalized playlists that they have, or if it's dance music mint, for example, they know, okay, this is a house track, so we're going to consider it for the playlist where we have house music, and for the listeners that listen to mostly house music.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, so how you're releasing some new music soon or yesterday or, you know, what are some of the things that you're doing to get for yourself to get your new music on playlist? And I gather I listened to one of your house tracks, which was cool. And I gather there's a bunch of different genres. What are you doing to get yourself on playlists?
Yeah. So number one is submitting in Spotify for artists. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
needs to do that before they even worry about doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That is your best opportunity. It's the main opportunity for your editorial consideration, and it's open to everyone, but a lot of people still don't do it. So definitely do that. To give you an idea, since Spotify announced that submission process, which I believe was a few years ago, we've had, let me think, we've had at least 4 different releases supported on editorial. And I don't
Wow.
know anyone at Spotify. I don't
Wow,
have
great.
any inside plugs or any email addresses or anything like that. That's purely from submitting in the form and following the process. And obviously, the more lead time, the better. So if you can submit 4 weeks before release, that gives them more time to listen, pass the track around the team, and find some good playlists for it from release day. But outside of that, there are other services outside of Spotify. So there is also Pandora. One thing that's unique about Pandora is you can actually submit a song that has already been released. So you have a song that's out, it's gained a little traction somewhere, you've got a story about the song now, maybe it got picked up, added to a few radio stations, maybe it got a lot of views on YouTube or something. You've got a story now, and then you can also submit that to Pandora. So they have their own submission system there where basically it flags a song and it says, hey, someone in your team should really listen to this and consider it for radio programming within Pandora, but also placement on some editorial playlists. And so that's kind of unique. I really like that because for once it's not just about what's coming. This is already out. Let's give it another opportunity on Pandora.
Great. Is there an artist profile for Pandora similar to Spotify artists?
Yeah, there is. So Pandora have AMP, their artist marketing platform.
Okay.
Anyone can sign up on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can sign up on there. You can claim your profile. They've got some really cool tools that I didn't know they had. Once you start digging into their FAQ, you find out that you can actually host mixtapes in addition to playlists. So as an artist, you can have a mixtape where you have let's say 80 songs or more, and you can actually have little voice bites in between where you can introduce your own songs within that mixtape. And it's almost like an interactive radio show, if you will, but all of the songs are feeding directly from Pandora. And the insights that they give into that are pretty mind-blowing. They show you how many people are listening, how long they listen for, what songs they're skipping. So you can see if, perhaps somebody's not vibing a particular song in your mixtape, you can go ahead and remove that. So there's some really cool features that they've got there, and they offer some free promotion tools where artists can actually, if they have a song that they would like to put in front of more listeners. So we know that Pandora, a lot of it is discovery and feeding more songs to listeners and saying, you might like this, you might like this. And it's just an endless stream. So artists can actually do a promotion where they can have an audio message and have their song as a featured song, and that can be delivered to more listeners. And if those listeners respond positively, then it just keeps going up higher and higher within Pandora to the point where there's artists out there that have made a very nice income because their music has been fed to the right people and they get more streams, and then they start playing on all these generated radio stations within Pandora as well.
So just within the Pandora ecosystem.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Pandora is one of those ones that it's been around a long time, and a lot of people are aware of it, but for some reason, I still come across a lot of artists that don't pay attention to it, even though they know at least one person that is listening somewhere. Whether it's your local barber, or
Mm-hmm.
you're at a friend's house and they put Pandora on in the background and they put it on a station. So, and I always say to artists, I say, you need to not just pay attention to Spotify or Apple because that's what you use. You need to make sure that you have a presence on all of these other platforms as well, because you could have millions of people listening to you on Pandora. It doesn't mean you have to be listening as well, but at least go on there and claim your profile and, you know, do the free promotion that they offer to get your song heard by more people. You know, I mean, if Spotify had a button that said free promotion, put my song in front of more listeners, everyone would click that damn button.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I used to use Pandora all the time, and then it just changed. You know, the system changed, and that's really interesting. So that's worth looking into again. What's your take on YouTube Music as a full platform?
Yeah, look, YouTube Music, I'm still wrapping my head around it at the moment. The reason being that it's a little tricky because people can still go to youtube.com and go to a channel which could be an official artist channel, but then that channel will look exactly the same within YouTube Music. Obviously just presented slightly differently because of the app and because of the website. But what I'm finding is that YouTube is starting to roll out official artist channels for more artists. So not just mainstream artists that their record label or someone has set up for them, but for any artist. So a lot of distributors now are offering a way to fast track this and say, you know, just to throw a name out there, if you're with DistroKid or CD Baby and you're an independent artist, they're also pushing your music to YouTube and YouTube Music. On YouTube, it would usually show as artist name dash topic. And, you know, obviously then that forces you to add those songs from that channel into a playlist on your own channel. And it just becomes confusing as to who should you follow. With the new process that YouTube are offering and the distributors are helping to fast track, you can combine that topic channel and your personal YouTube channel that you've created and combine them into an official artist channel, so that it doesn't matter if people were streaming from here or here or here. All of that content, all of the songs that were uploaded, all of your music videos you've uploaded is now all in one channel. All of the subscriber counts merge into one. And obviously all of the total views across that channel. And it just makes for a much nicer, cleaner looking home for everyone on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen those numbers reflect whether people go to youtube.com and find that artist's channel, or they go into YouTube Music and look at that artist's channel. So I feel like there's a lot more to come. I know that YouTube already have some really detailed analytics. If you go into YouTube Studio, which is available to most people with a YouTube channel.
Oh, right.
And so it looks like they're going to start bringing that into YouTube Music for artists. I don't know exactly what that will look like yet, but I know that obviously YouTube will show you how many minutes your music has been listened to or your videos have been viewed, how many people have given thumbs up, thumbs down, how many unique viewers you're getting. Are they coming from search? Are they coming from a playlist? Are they coming directly and typing in the artist's name, or are they coming from an external website? A lot of things that we don't see within Spotify and Apple Music for artists. So I feel like there's an opportunity for YouTube to go, let's provide something a little different, and let's really go detailed. Let's tell people that 10,000 views of their latest song came from Reddit because somebody posted about it, and you know, they should know that. So I really hope that's what they're working towards. I know that obviously Google are no strangers to providing crazy analytics.
Right.
You know, you can see how many people are on your website in real time and where in the world they are. I'm sure that they can do some pretty amazing stuff with music as well.
Well, I saw last year at the ASCAP Expo, saw a woman speak about YouTube Music and what they were introducing what it's going to be, and it sounded like they're doing a slow rollout of a new thing from this little company called Google YouTube, and they were not in a rush, but it seemed like it was about to attempt to be a streaming competitor, basically, similar to be in the Spotify ecosphere. And so what you're saying, it's interesting. They got, I guess, bringing all the analytics in and more data. And I noticed that all my music from YouTube was now suddenly showing up in YouTube Music. They had just taken the audio and still, and there it was. So it's just, I don't know. So it sounds like your take is it is still forming.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that's really interesting I found is if you want to see what you look like in YouTube Music. So you have an artist channel in YouTube. All you need to do is the URL would be, I think it's youtube.com/ and then if you have the channel number in there, so not the username, but if you get the channel number,
Okay.
you just change the URL. So instead of youtube.com/, it's music.youtube.com/, and you'll see what your artist profile looks like in YouTube Music. I actually did this on Twitter a while back as an experiment, and I said, hey, anyone that wants to know what your profile looks like in YouTube Music, send me a link to your YouTube channel. And I just started changing the URLs and sending it back to them. And people were getting their mind blown going, hey, you work at YouTube now or something? How did you get this for me? I'm like, no, I just wanted to make sure this worked, and I needed a few guinea pigs. And you sent me the link, and it was as easy as changing the URL to see it. So, yeah,
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and it's looking the same way with curators as well. So if you have playlists on YouTube where it's a playlist of music videos and audio within artwork, of course, once again, changing that URL, you can see yourself on YouTube Music as a curator, and people can see your playlist and actually play them within YouTube Music.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
It is. I know you're starting to focus on artist profiles. Tell me why that's important now. I mean, it seems obvious, but I'm sure if you're going deep into it, there's something that we need to know about it.
Yeah, definitely. So firstly, I say it's a home for anyone that already knows you or has just discovered you for the first time. And, obviously people discover you in different ways. They hear you on a radio station or while they're streaming, or an artist radio station. They hear you on a playlist, or somebody just randomly punches in your artist name and says, listen to them. From there, having an artist profile says, this is our home. You're welcome here. We have photos, we have a bio. You can tell that we've updated it. So stick around, follow us. And it basically says, there's going to be more where this came from. We're paying attention to this. So with Spotify, if I hear an artist that I like, the first thing I do is I go to their profile and I go to the About page, the About tab, and I read their bio. If they've gone into Spotify for Artists and added their links, then I can also click directly to their Twitter, Instagram, and other pages and follow them there. So they've now captured me as a follower on their social media as well, just by adding those links. If I go back to their profile page and I go, I'd like to hear more from this artist, they may have created a playlist with all of their original music, their discography or their catalog. From there, I can hit play on that playlist. And instead of just listening to one of their songs, I could let their entire catalog play, which could be 20 songs. And they've now had a stream of each of those songs. I may have found a few songs I like, added them to my own playlists. I may have given them a heart or a like and added them to my own playlist of songs that I like. And then I hit follow as well, lastly. So there's so much more than just going to their profile and looking at it and going, I don't think they even know that they're on Spotify. They haven't uploaded a photo. There's no bio. I don't know how active they are. The only thing I have to go by is the release date of their latest single. Mm-hmm. So then, and that translates to all of the others as well. So Apple Music, Deezer, Napster,
Wait,
Cobuzz,
is Napster still around?
Angami.
Is Napster still around?
Yeah. So what's interesting about Napster is when they became legal, it was around the same time that a lot of other people were already doing it. So Spotify really came in and just blew things up. Napster is still there. Their focus, from my personal opinion, is they actually do music for in-store or overhead or Muzak. So when you're in some retail stores, Napster, Rhapsody will supply the music. So they have this streaming product for anyone that still wants to go there and pay for music and stream to their heart's content. And it's still very heavily curated, and they have their playlists and all of that. But it seems that a lot of their focus is putting their music into stores and having a legal way for people to play music in their store and know that the artists are getting paid and that everything is being tracked correctly. So that's why I still feel Napster is important for an artist. It's, you know, you may not know anyone that has a Napster account and is streaming your music, but that doesn't mean that someone in another country or you know, a retail store on the other side of the world isn't getting Napster licensed for use in their store, and your music's being heard by, you know, 50 people that are in the store at that time that are shopping. So it's still very important, and the pay per stream on Napster is actually very high. It's one of the highest. So you may not get as many streams as you would on Spotify and Apple, but if you have a presence on there, you could still see some nice income from there, and it all adds up. You know, I always say you're never going to be able to get all of your fans to download a specific app and listen to your music in that app. Right. Even if you're a rock star, you know, look at what happened with Tidal. Jay-Z made his catalog exclusive, and a lot of people went on, got free trials, went on streams, and then a lot of people would just find another way to get his music. Now his catalog is available everywhere. And the same with Dr. Dre. A lot of his catalog was limited to Apple when obviously the Beats merger happened. Mm-hmm. Now his catalog's available everywhere too.
Everywhere. Interesting.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. And, you know, all of these, and the other thing is, so I mentioned a few names that people may not be familiar with, like Angami, which is in the Middle East. Angami is massive and was there before Spotify. And even though you can log in from the US and look at Angami, you may not see your music on there because the majority of content is only available directly within the Middle East. They haven't licensed to play it in the rest of the world. But you knowing that your music is available to people that are in the Middle East and that have Angami is enough reason alone to go on and claim that artist profile and make sure that you have a home for all of those people where that is how they consume and listen to their music. And it's, you know, a lot of these things, I feel like I almost have to do a sales pitch for these other DSPs to an artist, because they go, well, I've never heard of it. Or, you know, believe it or not, Pandora is not available in Australia anymore.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of artists, when I talk to them back in Australia, I go, you still paying attention to Pandora? They go, yeah, you know, I'm aware of it. I know how it works. I went on there and claimed a profile because I know that I've got, you know, 10,000 people every month that listen in Canada or, you know, the US. And it's like, okay, good. You know, but, you know, I go back to them. I go, hey, how about Angami? And they go, I've never heard of it. Why would I want to be on it? And then I have to go, well, this is why. You know, you want to see how many people are on there right now.
And sorry, how do you spell that? A-N-G?
Yeah, A-N-G-H-A-M-I.
H-A-M-I, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely not going to turn into a shameless plug, but this is what led me to create an online course on artist profiles. Because of the fact that I realized that there's so many artists out there that were saying, you know, I need to know, why is this so important? How hard is it? What do I really have to do to get access? What do I do when I get access? And, you know, how can I pitch to editorial and show me exactly what that looks like. So I obviously went ahead and created something as well as a result of many conversations with artists, just to put it online for them to access.
Yeah, it's great. Well, it's it's a big world out there, and there's different streaming platforms in different territories. I was in Thailand last year, and all the taxi drivers were listening to music on YouTube on their phone while they were driving, and that just didn't make any sense to me until I realized that YouTube came free with their phone package.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they got the streaming, fine, that's their radio, YouTube, in their
Yeah.
car, running around Thailand. So interesting.
Yeah. Sprint and Tidal in the US, Sprint and Tidal, they were offering, I think, 6 months at one point. Apple, anytime people were getting in, well, actually, Apple, every Apple employee in their stores worldwide, when Apple Music launched, they all got a 1-year subscription. So that everyone was streaming Apple Music, which of course makes sense. You've got to get familiar with it. But then Apple, with every new device, they offer a complimentary subscription as well, because they don't have a trial as such, or even a free tier. So it was just, you're getting access to everything for 3 months, and then after that you pay if you want to keep it. Yeah, so everyone's got their own offerings. Amazon have a unique one where if you have a Alexa enabled device such as an Echo, if you request a artist and you don't have an Amazon Music subscription, it will just play songs on shuffle. But that's a free offering, so that you can't go, I want to hear this song by this artist, but you can say, I want to hear music by this artist, and they'll start that artist's radio station and just start delivering you random music from that artist and other artists. So yeah, there's a lot of people that just choose to listen to music based on what they have. And, whether they got a free trial, whether their device has it built in, and, and then sometimes it could be someone has a family plan and they've offered to add you to it as well.
Well, can you explain the playlist system within Apple Music? It's like I've been using iTunes for years, but I can't seem to figure out some of the interfaces in that. It's like, what can you say about?
Yeah, look, I can say this now because they've made it a lot better. At first, it was a mess. iTunes was really confusing because as a DJ, I had my music in there that I would play in my sets, and I didn't necessarily want those playlists to be available on Apple Music. But then I also, in the same library, had those playlists where I would right-click on them and go make public, and then they would show in Apple Music. Now, if you have the latest OS on your Mac, the Apple Music app is completely separate. Same with podcasts as well. Same with Apple TV. There's no longer a iTunes app with all of that in there, just a mess. So the Apple Music app is really clean. And also it's worth knowing that in your web browser, you don't have to have the Apple Music app installed anymore. You can just go to music.apple.com and you can stream directly in your web browser and manage your playlist there. So if you're on a PC or Mac or whatever, Chrome, Safari, that's worth knowing. And but yeah, in the app, you create your playlist, you drag your songs into the playlist, or you right click on them and you say add to playlist. And then you right click on the playlist on the left-hand side and you make it public. And then you obviously choose to have a public profile within that app, which is one of the options in the top menus there.
But is there the same ecosystem of popular playlists? I mean, I know they have celebrity playlists, sort of, but like Mint or things like that in Spotify. Is there an equivalent in the Apple Music world?
Yeah, there is definitely. Now the name has completely gone past me, but there are, within different genres, absolutely, and they feature them on the homepage. What I find interesting with Apple Music is that they tend to also showcase just users that create playlists if they do really good curation. So you don't have to be major record label X or anything like that, and you don't have to be a celebrity. Obviously, that may get you on the front page with a nice banner and stuff. But as far as search results, if you were to type chill house in there, you may see chill house playlists that are just curated by people like you and me. What I find really cool about Apple Music is the second that somebody follows my curator profile on Apple Music, and I'm just a user, I don't have a special check mark or anything like that. I've just turned it on, made it public, and put some playlists there. The second somebody follows me, I get an instant notification on my phone, and I can tap directly to their profile. And a lot of the time it's their real name because it's attached to their Apple ID, and I can see who they are. I've actually had some music supervisors follow me, which I take as a big credit. And I also made me think, I hope my curation is on point. But yeah, it's, and I'll be honest, this may be controversial, but I like the fact that Apple Music doesn't show follow accounts on playlists, because it immediately forces you to just look at it and go, am I enjoying this? Do I like listening to it? Cool, I want to be on it. And if you go into Apple Music for Artists, which everyone can get access to, artists.apple.com, you can see how many streams you're getting from a playlist within Apple Music. So the information that the artist needs to know or their team need to know, you can get. It just, there's no reason that it needs to be public facing. And to be honest, a playlist could have 100,000 followers and nobody's listening to it. So I feel like follow accounts will become redundant. And I hope that we find another way in the future of being able to see which playlists are active. Like, even if it's it could be like a scoring system, like this playlist is hot, this playlist is on fire. It doesn't have to give you exact numbers, but it would be cool to see that and know, okay, whatever's going on with this playlist, they've obviously seen it in the back end and they've flagged it and said that it's doing really well right now. I'm going to pay attention to it. It's interesting though, because one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about right now is the fact that we're moving into the next step, I feel, which is people are spending less time staring at their screens and tapping on them and interacting with them, and more time talking to these assistants in their headphones or in their smart speakers in their home. And, Amazon Music are really leading in that field right now. And what they have available, so Amazon Music for Artists, currently it's only an app that you can download. There's no website where you can log in and see this, but the app is available on Apple and Android devices. And you can sign up at artists.amazon.com. I hope I said that right. Yes, artists.amazon.com. And it's still in the beta stages, but the detail you get is really cool because it has all the usual stuff: playlists, editorial, user playlists, how many people are just going to your profile and listening. But when you get into the voice side, it will show you how many people are requesting you on their smart speaker, on their Alexa-enabled device, by artist name, song title, album name, or by singing or saying part of the lyrics to one of your songs.
Wow.
So, it's, and I've been saying to all of these artists, I've been saying this for years. I say, because I grew up on radio, and I grew up on hearing a song that I loved and having to wait until the end of that song for them to back announce it, so I knew how to say that artist name when I went to my record store so that I could place an order. Now it's really important because every time you are on social media, you do a video or you're live streaming, say your artist name as much as you can so people know how to pronounce it. And I've seen a lot of people doing this now, which is awesome. And they've said, hey, go up to your Alexa device and go, Alexa, follow Date Night on Apple Music. It takes 5 seconds and it's done. And every time there's a new release from Date Night, the Alexa device, if it's an Echo, the color on the rings will change the day of release because there's a notification. Wow. And if you start talking, Alexa's going to tell you there's a new song from Date Night that's just been released. Would you like to hear it? Yes. You know, and then the conversation, I'd like to add this to my playlist. You know, and without getting too far ahead, there's going to be some interesting integrations, I believe, a rumor, I believe, with merchandise, so that you could be listening to an artist and potentially purchase merchandise all from your smart speaker using your voice. Because we all know that with Amazon, you can track your orders by just simply saying, Alexa, where's my stuff? So could you imagine listening to a song and they go, hey, this band's just released new merchandise. There's a t-shirt with their logo on it. Would you like to order it? Say, hell yeah.
So Amazon's the new streaming service and merch store.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon have their own merch store already where they do print on demand, and they haven't really pushed that hard on artists, but it's a cool idea for an integration, and just to be able to have that additional offering. And I know that, once again, rumors, but I've heard whispers that there's going to be more integrations and more ways that artists will be able to interact with their fans through their Alexa device in a way that they're almost talking to them. So I'd say keep a close eye on Amazon Music and definitely pay attention and start telling your fans right now to follow you, because it's not an email that comes to them. It's not a notification in their app. It's their smart speaker that's in their kitchen that they talk to most days that's going to tell them. And you're now in their home. And the more that they say your name, the more common it gets. And it's a lot more fun. You know, the experience of saying, hey, everyone, can you do this? Open Spotify, type in my artist's name, find this one, click follow, or hey, click this link and then go and log in and then follow me, versus say this to Alexa. It's just, people always like something that's new and to try it and experiment and to be one of the first. So I definitely encourage everyone to do that. Talk to your fans and say, hey, you know, ask Alexa this for me.
Mind blown. Great. No, it totally makes sense, because they're tying all these elements together, and then you're tying it together for us, really. But I mean, they're doing the back end, but you're connecting the dots. So that's, it's funny. I go to Whole Foods and I put in they ask, are you Amazon Prime number? And I didn't know what the point was, and I get some discounts. But now when I wanted to order, when I couldn't get to Whole Foods, now all the stuff that I liked was there. So it's basically, yeah, it's connecting Amazon Music with artist information, and yeah, the back infrastructure of all these technology things has come together.
Well, here's what's interesting, and this is purely speculation and just my thinking, but Amazon have a lot of information on us. Some think it's scary, some think it's really cool. You have Amazon services that provide TV and movies and things like that. So, you know, would it really scare you if you opened Amazon Music and some songs that you heard in that TV show that you were just watching are now suggested to you, and things like that? And, you know, it's only going to get better and better. And did you order some gym equipment? So you have a home gym. Oh, cool. Well, the second that is marked as delivered and you open Amazon Music, guess what? We're going to suggest a workout playlist to you. I mean, hell, why not?
Right. It's partly creepy and it's partly cool. It's like, yeah, that's really interesting. Wow, this is great, Mike. So much great information. You're an encyclopedia of this stuff, and you're tying it together and connecting the dots. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We're going to make for your free gift for people will be a copy of your Work Hard, Playlist Hard book. That's correct, right?
Yes.
And very excited about that. And, you know, yeah, Mike's been at the forefront of this stuff as an artist and technology observer and hypothesizer and rumor monger in a good way. And I've learned a lot from following you also on Twitter and your YouTube stuff. So it's been really great. So Mike's a great source. So thank you so much for sharing so much information. And then I'm going to go back and listen to some of these new streaming platforms. I'm going to find Angami and register myself today. Anything else you want to add, or we need to sort of final thoughts? Or
Yeah, look, I guess what I would like to put out there is that for artists, especially in the independent artists, the DIY community, you're not competing with anyone but yourself. So if you get some information, if you learn something, if you make a mistake, whatever it is, share it with your fellow artists and help each other, because we can all win right now. There's room for everyone to succeed. So you're not competing with anyone but yourself. And that's the way it should be with most things in life. You shouldn't be competing with someone else. You should always be trying to better yourself and grow. And you can do that by also helping others. And in return, they'll help you too. So whatever you learn, whether it's good or bad, share it and help each other out.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So Mike Warner, thank you so much. Thanks for being here at the summit, and everyone download Mike's book, which I love and I have myself. And I'm going to click the unrecord stop button, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.